In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is blood politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is blood politics.
What do you say we just get right into it? What's happening, guys? How are you? I know I'm a couple minutes early, but we got to do a little bit of a half show today because it's Easter. Happy Easter to everybody who celebrates. Hit that like button on the way in. I appreciate you joining me today on the family day, on the day that you usually typically spend with the people that you care about. You know what I mean? So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's welcome all the chat in. What's going on, guys? How are you? What's up, Corrine? What's going on, Smiles? What's going on? I see you, Miles, over there, but it said C Miles, so I figured I'd shorten it and say Smiles. I like that. You know, what's going on, Roxanne? How are you, Susie? What's up, Jen? What's up, Just Julie? How are you, Jay? What's up, Wes? What's up, Vasantha? How are you, Jackie? What's up, Chris? Appreciate you guys. Like I said, I'm on a little bit early, but I have to take the opportunity. I have to take the privilege of hopping out of here a little bit early. I think I could be out of here a little bit before 2 to make the old family event. So my apologies for the shortened show today. You know, depending on what time I get back and everything ends today, maybe I'll pop on later, see if we can do the other half. But yeah, my apologies as far as that's concerned. We got a lot to get to, lots to talk about in that hour. But like I said, filter in one and all. We're going to start off with saying hi to the chat. Let's see if we can bring you guys in once more. You guys deserve the screen time. What's going on? How are you to the mods as well? Appreciate you guys. Thank you for keeping that chat safe. What's going on, everybody? What's up, Dame? How are you? What's up, Tiff? What's going on, Ozzy? What's up, Flipper? What's up, El Rondo? Appreciate you guys for joining me. Thank you so much again to Susie and everybody. You guys are fantastic. What's up, Corey? What's going on? Like I said, happy Easter to everybody who celebrates. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Hit that like button. JQ, becoming a new member already. Let's friggin' go. Steve, thank you so much, JQ. I appreciate that very, very much, becoming a new YouTube member. And followed up right behind you is Steve. Appreciate you, Steve-O. Trump and Netanyahu need Moab enemas. Seconded as far as that's concerned. But yes, thank you guys so much. Thank you for the contributions. Thank you for signing up. There's a bunch of different ways in which you can sign up. And thank you guys so much to everybody who's been getting the merch. Really blown away, to tell you the truth, honestly, by, you know, the people going over there and not only checking the merch site out, but also purchasing some merch over there. We got some great shirts, great hats, mugs, the stickers, the whole 9 yards going on over there with some different graphics, different designs pertaining to all different things. So make sure you head over to bostonbryant.com. You can check out the schedule of the show. You can hit all the links for all the different social media sites, and you can also check out the merch store, the Blunt Politics merch shop over there. So thank you guys really, honestly, and truly for your support, whether it be, you know, via Venmo up here in the corner, send in $1 or $2, goes right to the show. It's the best way to support, quickest way to support, and the easiest way to support, other than signing up for a YouTube membership, sending in a super chat or a gift in the old Chatsky there, or signing up at patreon.com, which is going over a revamping right now, which I think you guys will enjoy, which will make it a little bit more worth your while, worth your time, energy, and passion. So again, thank you guys so much. So what do you say we dive into just a little bit of the craziness, a little bit of the wild insanity that has been taking place? Some good news to start off today with. We are all pretty relieved to see that the second pilot there from the F-15E Downing was able to be rescued safely in what can only be called like the most, I don't know. I have a different take on the rescue mission, so bear with me on that. But again, the credit that this pilot deserves This WSO, what the credit that he deserves in being able to not only evade capture from the Iranians that were actively hunting and seeking to capture him or kill him to get the bounty that was on his head, but the story that's going to come out of this, I'm going to pull up this article here from the New York Times, just kind of depicting a little bit of what took place. I know a lot of the Trump administration, a lot of the military experts are trying to applaud this as being like the biggest and greatest rescue mission of all time. Like, I'm calling bullshit. Like, you don't get to applaud yourself for the problem that you yourself created. You know what I mean? Like, I have an issue with that. I give all the respect in the world for all the soldiers that put themselves in harm's way to either fly a plane or a helicopter or put themselves on, boots on the ground to make sure that this guy got safe. But to make it seem like they didn't have like a beacon that is reported here, it did make it seem like that this is pretty much all on the pilot, all on the guy that managed to, again, evade capture, suffer through the territory and the terrain. To make it so, so he could still be, keeping in contact, in communication with people, as we'll read in this. Like, it's an unbelievable story, and it's crazy that just the other day we brought up and referenced the movie Behind Enemy Lines with Owen Wilson and Gene Hackman. I don't know if you guys remember me mentioning that, but this is pretty much like, it's a very similar story, but there's also, rescue missions from the past, rescue missions from World War II that are pretty much getting disrespected by Donald Trump and his rhetoric and the way he's speaking about this. And again, you don't get fucking to pat yourself on the back for solving a problem that you yourself created in the first place. So I'm kind of all over the place as far as this is concerned. But the one thing that we can say all together is that it is very good news. We are all happy to see that this pilot has been rescued safely. This is, again, reporting from the New York Times. U.S. rescues downed Air Force officer deep inside of Iran. Trump says an Air Force officer of an F-15E Strike Eagle shot down on Friday, as was reported, spent a day in hostile territory with little more than a pistol for protection. This goes into a little bit of the detail of that, if I can read it for you. Let me see here. It says an Air Force officer whose fighter jet had been shot down in Iran was rescued by U.S. Special Operations Forces in a risky Saturday night mission that took commandos deep into enemy territory, President Trump said on social media early Saturday. The rescue followed a life-or-death race between U.S. and Iranian forces that stretched over 2 days to reach the injured airman, who has, as weapon systems officer, current a former U.S. official said. In the end, a Navy SEAL Team 6 commandos extracted the officer in a massive operation that involved hundreds of special operations troops and other military personnel. Well, again, you have the personnel, and you also have the equipment in the area to get this done. And this was never like, they were never, this is, I think somebody put it in one of the videos, like they were willing to do this. Like, this is never them willing. This is the 100% them forced to undertake this rescue mission. They had absolutely zero other choice, right? They could not risk the Iranians getting this propaganda win, this propaganda victory, this massive propaganda victory. Another one, I should say, if they were to either capture or, God forbid, they were able to have, killed the pilot. This WSO here would have given Iran a huge, huge propaganda victory. So even if it weren't for the no men left behind kind of treaty that we have, there was no way that they were going to let this kind of just, stay happening. There was just no way that they weren't going to go in there and risk everything they possibly could to try to get this pilot back. They could not allow Iran, after shooting down these planes, after these pilots ejecting, to allow them to get another massive propaganda victory. So again, there's a lot that went into this, and again, all the credit in the world to the soldiers and commandos that put themselves in harm's way. And obviously, more than anybody else, I give credit to the WSO here, who was, again, I think as it states here, injured in this, but still managed to, climb mountains and stuff. We'll go on reading here, but it's a crazy story. And again, a lot of respect, a lot of credit to the pilot that was down there for getting himself not only to a place where he could be rescued, but also evading capture of the people that were actively hunting him down. It's just it's an unbelievable story by that pilot, by this guy, to get himself out of harm's way. And again, I don't want to downplay that by any regard, but these people that are now applauding this and like showing the capabilities of like, this shows the capabilities of this, that, and the other. Well, no, this just shows that we had to solve a problem, again, that we fucking created in the first place, right? So then this says here, And we'll go on to Trump's Easter statements and just after this. It goes on to say that there were no casualties among the rescue team, Mr. Trump said. All the commandos and the weapons officers returned safely, a senior U.S. military official said. Rescue planes flew the injured airmen to Kuwait for medical treatment. Again, that flies in the face of the reporting of the helicopter that was shot up and engaged and, in fact, did sustain casualties on that. But you can tell that Donald Trump is trying to take the propaganda victory here and run with it. This guy actually he had to stay silent pretty much until he had this news because he was afraid to get out in front of cameras and answer for this fucking situation that we're in. He said, quote, "We got him," Mr. Trump exclaimed in the social media post, quote, "This brave warrior was behind enemy lines in the treacherous mountains of Iran, being hunted down by our enemies who were getting closer and closer by the hour." Mr. Trump said that the rescued officer, an Air Force colonel, had sustained injuries, but he will be fine. The two crew members of the F-15E Strike Eagle, first lost to enemy fire in the month-long war, had both ejected from the cockpit on Friday after being struck by Iran's military. The jet pilots the jet's pilot was quickly rescued, but its weapons officer could not be found, setting off an urgent search with major consequences for Mr. Trump and the war that the United States and Israel launched on February 28th. Finding the downed airmen who had been hiding behind enemy lines with little more than a pistol as defense had been the U.S. military's highest priority over the last 48 hours. After ejecting from the F-15E, the officer hid in a mountain crevice, his location initially unknown to either Americans trying to rescue him or Iranians trying to capture him. The CIA then initiated a deception campaign trying to confuse the Iranian forces and convince them that the airmen had already been rescued. And was moving out of the country in a ground convoy, a senior administration official said. The agency also ultimately found the airmen's hiding place, passing the information on to the Pentagon, which mounted the rescue operation, the senior administration official said. Mr. Trump's exultant post celebrating the Air Force officer's rescue contrasted with his threat on Saturday morning to strike Iran's power infrastructure if the government did not open the Strait of Hormuz to cargo traffic. And again, yes, we will be going over Donald Trump's Truth Social post just after this, so stick with me. He says, quote, "Time is running out. 48 hours of hell will rain down on them," end quote. The downing of the F-15E and the crash of another U.S. warplane, an A-10 Warthog, a short time later on Friday, raised questions about how much capability Iran still retained after months of attacks. Mr. Trump hailed the rescue as evidence of Iran's defenses had been badly damaged, if not destroyed. Again, how ridiculous that is to say that they shot down this aircraft, forced these pilots to eject, but the rescue operation that fucking thankfully resulted in them getting the pilots back safely, then goes on to show the air capabilities and the defensive capabilities of the Iranians have been diminished. And again, it's unbelievable that they were able to conduct this that deep inside of the territory. Absolutely. But again, this is a problem of our making that we had to solve because we undertook and went through another failure of another mission. So it's like, it's kind of ridiculous for him to come out and continuously pat himself on the back for this. The fact that we are able to pull off both of these operations without a single American killed or even wounded just proves once again that we achieved overwhelming air dominance and superiority over the Iranian skies. The mission to save the crew employed hundreds of special forces troops and other military personnel, dozens of U.S. warplanes, helicopters, and cyber and space and other intelligence capabilities. And the airmen, this is crazy. The airmen evaded Iranian forces for more than 24 hours, at one point hiking up a 7,000-foot ridgeline, a senior U.S. military official said. U.S. attack aircraft dropped bombs and opened fire on Iranian convoys to keep them away from the area where the airmen was hiding. As U.S. commandos converged on the downed airmen, they fired their weapons to keep Iranian forces away from the rescue, but did not engage in a firefight with the Iranians, U.S. military officials said. The airman was equipped with a beacon and a secure communication device for coordinating with forces mounting the rescue, but the airman restricted the use of his beacon because Iranian forces could have detected its signal as well, which again, this is like there's so much of this that lines up with the movie Behind Enemy Lines. It's almost ridiculous at this point. It also goes on to say that the senior U.S. military official described the mission to rescue the airmen as one of the most challenging and complex in the history of U.S. special operations, given the mountainous terrain and the airmen's injuries and Iranian forces rushing to the location. And again, I have no problem whatsoever recognizing the challenging aspect and the complexity of this, that far in, especially with the terrain. But again, the applaud that's coming from both the Trump administration and Donald Trump himself to make it seem like this is proving above and beyond something. that we could like take a victory from is kind of asinine to me, considering it was the failure and again the capabilities of the Iranians, the failure of our side and the capabilities of the Iranians that led us into this position to begin with, right? So there's two sides to this. In a final plot twist, after the weapons officer was rescued, two transport planes that would carry the commandos, and again this is another aspect of this. Two transport planes would carry the commandos and the airmen to safety, got struck at a remote base in Iran. Commanders decided to fly in 3 new planes and extract all U.S. military personnel. In the airmen, they blew up 2 disabled planes rather than have them fall into Iranian hands. So again, the cost of this mission, the equipment lost in this, obviously, the detriment and the casualties to the whoever was injured. Again, I'm not. I said that everything that Donald Trump said kind of flew in the face of the reporting that we were getting during the day. So again, take what he said with a ginormous grain of salt. It also goes on to say that the F-15E fighter jet was shot down in the region of Iran with a significant opposition to the Iranian government. As a result, the airmen may have been able to rely on locals for shelter and assistance. The crash also drew the attention of Iranian military forces, who were reported to have been scouring the area. The Iranian government asked locals to help finding the downed airmen and had offered a reward for the airmen's capture. The CIA also plays a role in making contact with civilians willing to help vulnerable troops stay alive in process known as unconventional assisted recovery. So again, just a couple aspects of this coming from what is obviously good news. To hear that this pilot was inevitably found after quite a bit of time. I got to say, as everybody knows, the more time that goes on, the less likely it is that you're going to recover, and not only recover, but recover in good shape or in good health, I should say. The people that are inevitably down behind enemy lines. But before we get on to kind of the comparisons and the one-to-ones, but from the movie Behind Enemy Lines, obviously we got to dive into Donald Trump's statement, Donald Trump's comment on this, because it's the first time I think that like good news has pretty much warranted, or as a result of the good news, resulted in the war crimes. Again, another fucking tweet about committing war crimes from the president of the United States. Let me just throw this on your screen here. And thank you everybody for the gift. And thank you, Yvonne. I appreciate that. So Yvonne with the 20 gifted. I see Corey up there with 20. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate that. Happy Easter again to everybody who celebrates. I really do appreciate you guys spending a little bit of it with me. So thank you guys for hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way in helping. So again, let's just go over some of these kind of the last post that Donald Trump has been making here. This is the one that we just read some of it, where he announces that we did in fact rescue the American pilot there. But that's not really the one everybody's discussing. This is the one that everybody seems to be discussing again on Easter Sunday. As it is today, the president of the United States, instead of just, going on social media and saying just plainly Happy Easter to those who celebrate or something along those lines. No, he felt it necessary to go on there and basically, again, threaten to commit more war crimes if, in fact, the Strait of Hormuz is not open. He says Tuesday will be Power Plant Day. Actually naming these days, based on whatever civilian targets and civilian infrastructure they're actually going to hit. So Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped into one, he says. There will be nothing like it. Open the effing strait. I don't know why I'm saying effing. I swear more than he does. So open the fucking strait, he says, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch, in all caps. And then he says, praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump. And again, this is posted 8:03 this morning by the President of the United States. Again, just showing you what kind of insane, just madman, maniacal, genocidal piece of shit we have leading this country at this moment in time. Again, to name the days based on what civilian infrastructure you'll be taking out is really something. That's something. And nobody really thought that the good news of the officer, of the pilot that was rescued, would warrant kind of another claim, another threat of war crimes by the United States. But that's exactly what we saw here by this demented old fool, right? This guy is just time and time again showing everybody, proving to everybody, giving us more examples why he's just should be absolutely nowhere near the hands of power, should be removed, should be impeached, should be arrested, should be convicted, and should be thrown right in a fucking, let's throw him in a mental asylum, because he loves those things. We'll throw him in one of those things, because I do believe he belongs there as far as that's concerned. But he's got, all of these posts are ridiculous. All of these posts are crazy. You know what I mean? It's just no matter which one you pull up, no matter which one you talk about, it again has examples of how this guy has absolutely lost his soul, lost his brain, and is cooked right now. He's just cooked. I don't know which other way to describe it. The man is fried. He is absolutely cooked. And in every single moment, we're kind of having to bail ourselves out of the danger he's getting us in. Right, all of these actions now all these people and servicemen and women have to be thrown into harm's way to make sure that we rescue the people that inevitably got shot down because of the lies, because of the propaganda being told by Donald Trump, right? Because of the telling us that they have completely eradicated all of the military capabilities of Iran. And then we go to see that, which again was the swiftest kick in the dick that I've ever seen, following Donald Trump's address the other night to again lie and propagandize about how well we're doing in this. It's ridiculous. It is. It's crazy. And again, let me just throw this on the screen because, you heard some of the insights, you heard some of the stories and some of the, kind of the details of this rescue. And again, the amount that it matches up to behind enemy lines with Owen Wilson and Gene Hackman is kind of, it's stunning. The beacon, knowing when to utilize the beacon and when not to utilize the beacon, because that the enemy can inevitably hear that ping, could hear what was going on, and could find your location as well. I mean, all the aspects of having to evade, the enemy behind the lines, to have to climbing the mountain, to the whole 9 yards. It's kind of a 1-to-1 almost as far as that's concerned. But again, if you don't recognize or know about the movie Behind Enemy Lines, it's like I said, with Owen Wilson, Gene Hackman, and it was about the pilot Scott O'Grady. It's loosely based on the story of Scott O'Grady, who was shot down over Bosnia and uncovers the genocide during the Bosnian War. Meanwhile, Rear Admiral commanding the carrier strike groups, which he's assigned, is struggling to gain approval to launch a combat search and rescue mission. The plot is loosely based on the 1995 incident involving Scott O'Grady that occurred during the war. And again, if we go here to Scott O'Grady's story, the Bosnian, it tells how he was shot down here. It says, on the ground, Bosnian Serb Army 2K-12 surface-to-air missile battery was readying to fire its missiles on NATO aircraft. These Serbs have moved the mobile tracked missile battery and laid a trap. They switched on their missile radar intermittently, giving the F-16 fighters little warning, waited until a plane was directly overhead where the aircraft warning and countermeasures would be at their weakest. They fired 2 missiles in the cockpit. O'Grady's instruments alerted him that the missile was coming, but he was flying through an overcast sky and could not see it. The first missile exploded between the 2 aircraft. The second struck the F-16 pilot O'Grady. His flight lead captain, Robert Gordon Wilbur Wright, saw O'Grady's plane burst into flames and break in 2. Wright did not see a parachute, but O'Grady survived the ejecting from the aircraft. He landed among the Bosnian Serb population that he was briefed would be unfriendly. He quickly secured a 29-pound survival bag, ran and hid, rubbing dirt on his face, hid face down as Bosnian Serb forces came upon his parachute half a dozen times, shooting their rifles only feet from where he was hidden in an effort to flush him out or kill him. During the next 6 days, he put to use the lessons learned during a 17-day survival, evasion, resistance, and escape training session he had undertaken in Fairchild Air Force Base near his hometown at Spokane, Washington. He ate leaves, grass, bugs, and stored little rainwater he could to collect with a sponge in plastic bags. He radioed for help immediately, but had to remain quiet with paramilitaries coming within feet of him. He used the radio following standard operating procedures as the U.S. Air Force had taught him, so not to give away his position to unfriendly forces, similar to the story that we were just talking about. On his 6th night on the ground, he made radio contact, signaling his location using his radio's limited battery power. NATO warplanes conducting sorties in the Balkans had been picking up distress beacon snippets that they thought were coming from O'Grady. This extremely sensitive information was inadvertently revealed by General Ronald Fogelman, the Air Force Chief of Staff, when the general told reporters attending a promotional ceremony that monitors had detected intermittent transmissions. A NATO official was quoted as saying, "I was dumbfounded." He said that. Basically, you get the gist of the story here. But on midnight, June 8, Grady spoke on the radio, and F-16 Captain Thomas T.O. Hanford from the 510th responded. After confirming his identity, the rescue was set in motion. U.S. Air Force General Michael Ryan and Navy Admiral Leighton Smith, commander of the NATO Southern Forces, called U.S. Marine Corps Colonel Martin Burnt aboard USS Kearsarge, and with orders to execute the search and rescue. 2 CH-53 Sea Stallions with 51 Marines from the 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines within the 24th Marine Expeditionary Unit lifted off of the ship, rescuing the pilot. The 2 helicopters were accompanied by 2 Marine Corps AH-1W Super Cobra helicopter gunships and a pair of Marine AV-8B Harrier jump jets, 1 pilot by Captain Ronald C. Walkowitz. These 6 aircraft had supported identical sets of replacement helicopters and jump jets, as well as 2 Navy EA-6B Prowler electronic warfare planes, 2 Air Force EF-111A Raven electronic warfare planes, 2 Marine FA-18D Hornets, a pair of anti-tank Air Force A-10 Thunderbolts, an SH-60B from the U.S. Ticonderoga, and an RAF AWACS E-3D. So again, we have in fact seen substantial and really wide-ranging rescue missions before, but the one-to-one comparisons here are pretty substantial. They kind of they make your eyes open wide a little bit as far as that's concerned, because the way in which he used his radio intermittently, the way in which he was able to evade the Iranians on the ground, the military, the people that were close to him, to scale mountains to make sure that he was in a place that he could be picked up. It's again, I don't want to I can't say it enough how much respect that this guy deserves, in the fact that he survived is pretty much all on him, right? It's crazy. It really is it's a wild story. But again, the fact that they're trying to get some sort of like victory out of this, the fact that they want some sort of like credit as far as not only Donald Trump, the administration, but the leadership that again was responsible for the failure in the first place, is something that I just can't allow to happen. But here's another example as well. I threw this one on the screen just to show you. Here's Operation Halyard from World War II. Was an Allied airlift operation behind Axis lines during World War II. July 1944, the Office of Strategic Services, the OAS, drew up plans to send a team with the Chetniks force led by General Draza Mihailovich in the German-occupied territory of the military commander in Serbia for the purpose of evacuating airmen who had been shot down in the area. I think over the course of time, they rescued I think it's like 600, no, it says here, a grand total of 432 U.S. and Allied personnel were airlifted during this mission. Which again made sure that they were in the area to rescue any pilots that had been shot down, or in fact found themselves in the area for whatever reason. But again, we've undertaken a lot of these things in the past, and I just want to make sure that no disrespect is done to the people in the past that also sacrificed, that also put themselves in harm's way to make sure that no man was left behind, to make sure that no soldier got left behind enemy lines, was trapped behind enemy lines without care, right? So a lot of these things deserve respect, deserve credit, as do the people that in this situation risked their lives to make sure that this guy got home safe. But what I'm not going to have is this be like a praise session for President Donald Trump because of, in fact, this kind of incompetency that we've seen as far as the leadership militarily in this war. So there's, like I said, there's a lot that in fact goes into this. But let's see if we can dive into just a couple of these videos. Here's a couple different videos speaking about this mission as well. See if we can get any further insight, see if there's anything we kind of agree with, disagree with as far as this is concerned. Like I said, a lot of the former military people, as is understandable, very understandable, are kind of, I don't know, I think are too willing to give Donald Trump almost credit as far as this is concerned, where no credit whatsoever, no respect whatsoever should be given to the guy that's responsible for putting these soldiers in harm's way in the first place, if you catch my drift. So again, here's just a couple minutes here from a Preston Stewart video where he's kind of detailing the mission that we just read a few kind of details about. So let's see if we can dive into this. I appreciate you guys.
All right, what's going on, everyone? So we've got...
I didn't tell him to start yet. My apologies. Hit that like button, and thank you guys to everybody that's watching. Thank you to everybody that's gifting, and I appreciate everybody that's been nice enough to sign up at Patreon, send over a Venmo, or grab some merch from the merch shop. So shout out to you guys. Thank you guys very, very much. A lot of respect for you guys in the chat. So, all right, let's dive into this, see if we can get any further details as to what took place, how it took place, and what it means going forward.
We've got some great news to start your Easter Sunday. The downed American airman in Iran has been recovered. So after more than 24 hours behind enemy lines, after his F-15 was shot down a couple days ago, U.S. Special Operations Forces conducted what might be the most daring rescue operation in modern American history. Like, this is wild. It's straight out of a movie.
And again, I don't know. I don't, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't see it as being like anything but this pilot having the skills, the know-how, the balls, the aggression, the guts to survive, right? And again, we had all of the assets in the area. We have all of the people in the area to get this done. Right. So it should be not even a second thought. It shouldn't even be, okay, like we have all the necessary things to get this done. Why wouldn't they do it? And obviously they had to do it again for the propaganda purposes as well. And again, not taking away the distance into Iran they had to go, or the forces that were on the ground. But again, after you've taken out so much of their capabilities, as you've said, as you've taken out so much of their leadership and stuff like that, and again, kind of using the fortunate position of being in an area that was reported as being kind of not sympathetic to the regime, and were kind of maybe more likely than other areas to kind of help or make sure that the U.S. airmen stayed alive and was able to be rescued as far as that's concerned. But again, it's just, I don't know. I have a problem with anybody kind of coming out of this as far as like credit is concerned to the leadership. If you can understand that, you know what I'm saying?
Bottom line up front, they're home. And from what we're tracking at this point, no additional U.S. casualties during that rescue, which is insane because it looks like it happened around 200 miles inside of Iranian territory, just outside of Esfahan. So you're talking about one of the key nuclear hubs, major city inside of Iran. And the United States U.S. military set up a temporary airfield, a forward arming and refueling point to conduct this search and rescue operation and bring that weapon system officer home. It's an incredible testament, not just to the capabilities of the U.S. military, which every time they're put on display, it's a little bit of a, oh yeah, we are absolutely incredible, but also that we are moving heaven and earth to make sure that we leave nobody behind. In no time at all. I mean, we got the first pilot out from the F-15 and then the A-10 pilot shortly thereafter. In no time at all, we had massed resources moving into the country, 200 miles inside of Iran, risking all of those platforms, risking all of those lives without a second thought because there was an American that we could not leave behind. I love that. I think it's an incredible testament to what our military, what our country is all about. Now, diving into what we know so far about this operation with a caveat that a lot of this was, and will continue to be highly classified. So you're talking about the means and methods to secure a downed airman behind enemy lines. Those are tactics that are needed today, tomorrow, and in the future. Right now, we have American
aircraft. Makes sense though, because again, as this air campaign or this campaign in general continues to lengthen, continues to go on, the threat, the possibility of this happening again is obviously ongoing. So you can see where they wouldn't want to release all of the information, all of the details as far as how this was, how we managed to evade capture, how they managed to stay in contact. I think they're coming out with these generalizations. Again, a lot of this is probably to throw off the enemy as well, which is something you kind of have to take with a grain of salt, especially when it's coming directly from a government involved in a war. They obviously have the motive, they obviously have the reasoning as to make it seem better off, to make it seem more beneficial for their side. As with all wars that we have to cover, all that information has to be taken with a grain of salt, especially when we're talking about the Trump regime. The amount of lies and propaganda that has been told in this regard during this war has just been absolutely outrageous, and I think a pretty distinct through line from everybody's reporting as far as what we're seeing on the ground compared to what we're hearing from the administration. And again, the lack of cohesion, the lack of the lack of transparency, the lack of a goal, the lack of a justifiable mission. In that concern, in that reasoning, it's like, nobody is ready to take anything that this administration says and trust it right off the bat without, multiple sources, without multiple people being able to confirm and corroborate exactly what they're saying. So, I continue to say that it is very good. It's obviously good news to hear that our servicemen and our servicemen that were down inside of Iran were rescued safely and out of the area. But again, the way that it's covered, I think, is just kind of, we need to make sure that this isn't like a kind of a feather in the cap of Donald Trump. The fact that he's responsible for this. Absolutely. We could talk about the praise. We could talk about the heroism of the people that went into enemy territory and risked their lives to make sure that this guy got out of there safe. Absolutely. Without shadow of a doubt, they should be respected. They should be applauded. I'm talking about the administration. I'm talking about the military leadership. So again, to make sure that that is separated from the people actually engaged and putting their life on the line. Let's make that very fucking clear right now.
Overhead in Iran. If one of them go down, some of these same tactics will be utilized to bring them home. So there's going to be a lot of this that we don't know, and we should not know because that information being public puts our service members at risk. To that end, there are going to be a lot of folks kind of wanting to break stories and have the inside scoop about exactly what played out here, the units involved, the details on the ground, the planning, infill, exfil. Take that all with a grain of salt, because at the highest level, this is the type of stuff that they're going to want to keep a lid on, and we should want a lid on that. The less about this type of operation is known, the more likely it is that future Americans or allies of ours shot down behind enemy lines are able to be successfully recovered.
Right, but I think that doesn't also recognize the fact that we shouldn't be there in the first place. These soldiers should not be exposed to this level of danger right now in the first place, right? This is ridiculous, and because of the actions that we undertook, that these people had to do and complete this mission and engage and put themselves in harm's way to rescue these pilots in the first place, right? That is just, we can't lose sight of why this took place, why we're in this situation, why gas prices are so high, why prices are rising on everything else so dramatically right now. It's because of we're trying to solve problems that we ourselves created in this fucking country alongside, with Benjamin Netanyahu. Like it's kind of, I think it's kind of escaping everybody as far as that's concerned. And the fact that we have to keep this close to the vest, right? Like the details and the tactics used is because this could possibly happen again, because Donald Trump refuses to take our fucking armed forces out of harm's way in this stupid, illegal, unconstitutional war, right? Is that, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but is that not something that we all should be recognizing in this case? Like, it's fine to say that a lot of the details may not come out because they need to keep it close to the vest in case this happens again. But shouldn't we also recognize that we shouldn't be in this position to have this happen again? The people flying these planes shouldn't be put into this position. And again, who knows what kind of bullshit and rhetoric they're hearing on Fox News that we know is played in a shitload of the U.S. bases, right? He's hearing fucking these Fox News idiots, and he's hearing Donald Trump all over the fucking place in the base talk about how all of the missile systems and drones have been eradicated and they have no more military capabilities. Next thing you know, you're out on your next sortie and you're getting fucking shot down. I mean, it's just, we got to make sure that we recognize the position that we're in, who got us here, why this rescue mission had to be enacted in the first place, right? Why these fucking details have to be kept close to the vest, because this may happen again going forward, because of further escalation, because of further military action. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. There's two sides to this whole thing. Great news, while also recognizing the reason that we have to talk about this in the first place, right? Just kind of in case there's any discrepancy on exactly the message that I'm trying to get across as far as that's concerned. There was also this one. I know we're short on time today in case anybody didn't and joined us late. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but it's Easter Sunday, so I'll be heading out for dinner at 2 o'clock. Sorry to cut the show short today, but I think you guys understand, and I'll let you guys get out of here to be with your loved ones and friends and family as well. For all those that celebrate, of course. For those that don't, you go out and have yourselves a weekend. Have yourselves a Sunday, all right? On me. But this is BBC also talking about this rescue operation, and I'm just curious the difference in the way that it's covered, maybe if there's any added details that we may be likely to get from outside sources, as opposed to again, people here in the United States that may be using United States details, United States intel to get their information as far as that's concerned. So I wanted to pull up kind of two of these videos to see if there was any differing details, any discrepancies or anything like that. So again, this is BBC, how the U.S. rescue operation in Iran folded. And let's just see if there's anything we can gain or gather from this. And then after, we got another Lego update from Iran. We got another Lego update going after Donald Trump this time and really hammering home the old Epstein point, the Epstein connection between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. And then we got one of our classic MAGA people doing a complete 180 and throwing Donald Trump under the bus so hard is this person throwing Donald Trump under the bus that they're actually begging for the return of Joe Biden. And again, I'm not sure if you'll be familiar with this person. He's kind of in the whole Nick Fuentes. I don't know if you know who Clavicular kind of crowd is. Like these, who's the other one? Myron. There's another Myron character. I'm not hugely familiar with the people, but I know of them, and I know kind of their bullshit Nazi espousing rhetoric that they're involved in. This person that we'll be talking about was actually on the bus recently for the whole the group of idiots with Nick Fuentes that were given the Heil Hitler salute, to one of Kanye West's songs. I don't know if you actually saw that reported, but we'll go into it. I'll bring you up to speed on who these assholes are. But yes, he's actually now flipping script so much that he's calling for the return and begging for the return of Joe Biden. And I guess another one of these things where you didn't have that on the Republican bingo card for 2026. The Marjorie Taylor Greene's no longer being on Trump's side. The Nick Fuentes starting up an opposition party to MAGA. The whole Charlie Kirk situation and the Candace Owens feuds and everything else that you could put into this category. But all right, let's see if we can dive into this BBC clip real quick and see if we can get any insight, any information. I appreciate you guys joining me. Hit that like button. Again, happy Easter to those that celebrate. In case you're just joining us, obviously, we're talking about the good news that the second pilot there that was down in Iran has been found. Obviously, I'm sure you've kind of heard the reporting, but we're just kind of going through some of the amazing details. Again, the consistencies and the comparisons to behind enemy lines are just kind of blowing me away still. I mean, I can just continue seeing in my head the United States tracking this soldier. Again, anybody that's seen the movie will know the part that I'm referencing. But when they're in the ship and they're actually taking a look at what is supposed to be a satellite image of Owen Wilson down inside of enemy territory, and they're kind of following him as he's running across and has to, evade the enemy that's looking for him. But, it's just like, that's all I can see in my head is this soldier, this pilot, injured. I don't know to what extent, but you heard Donald Trump mention that he was injured, but to still be able to scale a 7,000-foot embankment and to still have the smarts to be like, okay, I have communications, I have a beacon, but I have to be careful and I have to be kind of, smart on when I utilize that, because not only will it transmit to, my side, but it would also transmit to the other side, which is kind of crazy to me. Because in the movie, which I think is it's a 96 movie. I forget what year it came out. It might even be a little later than that. But they also have that same situation. You would have thought by 2026, they would have solved that issue where they would have some sort of beacon, some sort of communications platform that, you could communicate straight to, CENTCOM. You can communicate straight to, commander, whatever forces you have to be communicating with, without the enemy being able to pick it up. Just a thought that I was having just now. It just seems strange that, we don't still in today's U.S. military in 2026 with all the technological advancements have the ability for, a pilot or, soldier down behind enemy lines to communicate without having and risking his location being transmitted to the enemy. I don't know, just something I'm kind of ruffling about in my own head as we speak right now. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the through lines in this and the consistencies and the comparisons to it. It's really, really, really crazy. It really is. So again, good news to see, in case you just joined us, that the pilot was in fact airlifted and taken out safely. Always good to see as far as that's concerned. All right, let me throw this on the screen here and see if we can get any more insights into that exact subject.
President Trump has announced that the US has rescued the missing crew member of a military jet that was downed over Iran in what he's described as one of the most daring operations in American history. The US and Iran had been searching for the airman since Friday after his F-15 fighter plane was shot down by Tehran. Mr. Trump said the rescue involved dozens of aircraft operating deep in...
Can I just say a little side note that I love? She calls him Mr. Trump, right? Like, how peeved he gets when they don't call him President Trump or Sir or whatever they want to fucking Dear Fuhrer or whatever he wants to be called. But I love the little snide, kind of little poke in the side that is the Mr. Trump they continue to say here.
Enemy territory. The weapons systems officer was aboard a US F-15 that was shot down in southern Iran. A pilot who was also on board was rescued earlier. Let's take a look at what Donald Trump has been posting on Truth Social. The president said, "We got him," before going on to call the rescue one of the most daring search and rescue operations in US history. The president confirmed the second pilot is now safe and sound before saying this is the first time in military memory 2 US pilots have been rescued separately deep in enemy territory. He then said, "We will
Again,
never
without
leave
recognizing it's the first time, if in fact true, that there's been the need." Right? That's the whole point that I'm trying to make. It's the fact that we needed to do this in the first place, and him trying to take credit for this is what's pissing me off. And again, not only that, but again, the disrespect that it kind of that it, you know, it disrespects all of the past people that put themselves in danger, all of the past soldiers that put themselves in danger to rescue people behind enemy lines, whether it be in Afghanistan, whether it be in Iraq, Vietnam, Korea, World War II. You know what I mean? It just, not only is he going and trying to take like credit for this and making it seem like he's like this great military leader because this action had to happen, but he's also disrespecting past operations, right, that happened in like, justified wars, or again, in World War II or afterwards. Doesn't matter what position or what war they happened in, but I feel like he's doing a lot of disrespect to the people that also conducted, really, really dangerous missions behind enemy lines, and now he's trying to take credit for this amazing, like, it's just, that's the problem that I have. No problem with the people enacting this, the people putting themselves in danger, getting all the credit in the world that they deserve for making this happen. Rightfully fucking so. Absolutely. Amen. 100%. But again, the leaders of this and the people that, in fact, took on this ridiculous war and put us in this fucking unnecessary position that we're in right now, whether it be with pricing, whether it be with goods that you're buying, or of course the danger posed to our fucking military right now. Like that's what irks me as far as this is concerned. So again, hopefully nobody's kind of misreading that as far as it goes. I know, I even kind of stated in the beginning, it might be, it might be a little hard to explain, but I hope I'm doing an okay job of doing it. But yeah, I don't even think this, as far as BBC goes on, that they even talk about, and I don't know when this was put out, but they don't even seem to bring up his, oh yeah, they do right here. They actually do right here. So let me see. Did they, yeah, they took out his swears. I'm kind of curious what they had to say about his comments as far as this is concerned. Let me throw this back up. This is where this is his profanity laced one, I believe. But I do think that BBC took out the swears in it.
Rubble left from your homes.
Earlier, Donald Trump renewed his threats against Iran, taking to social media to say, "Remember when I gave Iran 10 days to make a deal or open up the Hormuz Strait? Time is running out."
Oh, that's the one he put up yesterday, actually. That's not even the one where he threatened the war crimes today. Let me see if they actually even cover that one. This might have been put out before he put out that tweet. Oh, and then there was this as well that people were talking about that we should probably look at, which was this one. Which was, from the reporting that we were talking about earlier, a lot of people were suspecting or talking about that this was the footage, this was the wreckage of the downed planes, when in fact it was not. So again, I just wanted to make sure that we're, covering this and talking about this correctly, so you guys know if you see this footage, what it is, how to talk about it, what to correct as far as other people talking about this. But this was in fact the wreckage that you can see here reported from this US C-130 that the that the New York Times reported, that I believe I heard somebody say that it was either stuck in the mud or it was struck in some sort of way, but in fact they did blow it up themselves. The U.S. took it upon themselves to kind of, instead of leaving it to the enemy to get intel, to get the pieces of it, just blew it up themselves. So that's what it looks like. It also looks like in the video, as you can see in the corner here, what looks to be either a rotor of a helicopter or one of the no, because the C-130 doesn't. Hold on, let me see here. Let me see real quick. Let me see the picture of a C-130. The site can't be reached. Why not? It's not a site. It's a plane. Of course it can't be reached. C-130 plane. Yeah, so it does have props. So that's what I was thinking. So the Lockheed C-130 Hercules does. I was on mute. So I just wanted to make sure that the C-130, in fact, did have props like I remembered. So a lot of people are kind of speculating that this also could be like a rotor from a helicopter, knowing that they were using the helicopters for the extractions. But again, it also looks to be just the one of the props coming off of the C-130. But this was, in fact, the U.S. blowing up their own aircraft to make sure that it didn't fall into enemy hands, and not, in fact, the wreckage of the down F-15 or the A-10 Warthog, as a lot of outlets, a lot of people were kind of reporting on social media as well. But this is just a quick little clip. Let's see if we can go through this. I don't think there's any sound attached to it, so we'll just kind of talk you through it. You can see here the different rotors, the different propellers here from the plane, just utterly destroyed. Of course, the U.S. trying to leave no pieces behind, again, for the enemy to study or research or copy or anything like that, as they typically do to any, disabled craft or disabled vehicle or anything like that left behind enemy lines. So again, this is right in line with what you'd typically do for this equipment if it was left behind. But again, just adds to the amount expended. It adds to the amount of equipment lost in this war. Even if it wasn't per enemy hands, it was still as a result of enemy action, right? So again, if the enemy didn't shoot down the F-15, if the enemy didn't shoot down the A-10, then we wouldn't had to have put this stuff on the ground in the first place, thus opening it up to either being stuck or being struck by the enemy, thus leading to us having to blow it up. So again, it's a downhill effect. It's a snowball effect. Anytime that this stuff happens, anytime that, an airplane is shot down, anytime you have somebody caught behind enemy lines, there is that, is the real possibility for further action and further escalation. Not only that, but retaliation. I don't know now if the United States is now going to use this to amplify their attacks in order to, rectify, in order to kind of avenge what took place in these strikes, to make Donald Trump feel a little better. I wouldn't put it past him for undertaking, kind of more of these dramatic and kind of warlike actions in order to hit back at Iran for embarrassing him after his nightly address that he had the other night. But again, here's just some of the footage going around, some of the wreckage from that C-130. And again, some people have been speculating, going through the video, that it looks like there may be parts of other pieces of equipment as well. I haven't seen it confirmed, so I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that. But let me see here. There was also this I wanted to show you, because the Iranians are back at it once again with their Lego kind of propaganda videos. Last one was going at Pete Hegseth, if I remember correctly, that we played on the show, going at him for his fake Christianity, his tattoos, his drunkenness, his kind of womanizing, his woman abusing. They went after him the whole fucking 9 yards, everything that you could possibly think of. They hammered Pete Hegseth on. But this is, again, going after Donald Trump and his connection, his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, as far as this is concerned. This is a little bit of a shorter one. Doesn't really seem to make a ton of sense as far as the words and the lyrics are concerned, but I think the message gets out there. I think the message comes through pretty clearly as far as that's concerned. I don't think you necessarily need to even listen to the lyrics in order to understand what the Iranians are referencing and what they're pointing at. So let's just play this real quick. Again, keeping up the theme with the propaganda war between the White House and the Iranians, where the Iranians seem to be kicking ass in this fucking fight, at least. Let's see if we can take a look at this. This is, again, the latest propaganda video put out by the Iranians detailing Donald Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein in Lego version, I think.
Yo. They found a little black book. Take a look, don't overlook. Trump allegedly on page 4008. Just coffee, yeah, that checks out great. Allegedly 40 visits to the island of fun. Never been there, oops, flight logs one. Photos allegedly fake, memories allegedly gone. Justice allegedly.
You see the island here, obviously supposed to be Epstein Island. You can hear them reference the 40 alleged visits to Epstein Island. Again, I don't know if this is coming from something that the Iranians have in the background that can corroborate and confirm this, or again, they're just kind of using the information already out there and kind of amplifying it and exaggerating it to, again, hammer home a little bit harder at Donald Trump. Remains to be seen as to what they release, if they release anything. But again, they've done multiple references now to Donald Trump, the Epstein files, seemingly some information that hasn't been seen. Again, whether they're making that up for propaganda purposes or not, again, remains to be seen. But you can see here Donald Trump flying on the jet to Epstein Island. And again, the theme of this seems to be allegedly, but it seems to be the word used most in this.
The sleeping case allegedly moved on. Epstein, nice guy like some young. Said the man with the orange tongue now is.
Epstein, nice guy, likes him young, as we know Donald Trump has said in the past. So again, a lot of this stuff that they're using is coming from like direct events. A lot of what Pete Hegseth's Lego video was talking about was directly what he had in tattoos, direct stories and reports from his sexual exploits, from his time at Fox News and his drunkenness and all of those reportings. Like they're doing their research, like they're doing their fucking research to make sure that at least a lot of this comes from truth. And then whether or not they're adding on their little details and flavor onto it, again, like I said, is remains to be seen. But they seemingly are hinting at the fact that they know a little bit more than everybody else. I think we can state that.
Crying witch hunt and fake, while the evidence allegedly burns for his.
So while the evidence allegedly burns for his sake, you can see Donald Trump down here crying his eyes out, calling it a witch hunt, saying lock her up. You can see the pages saying allegedly going into the evidence fire that obviously represents the ongoing cover-up by the Trump regime and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel over at the FBI.
The list, the VIP list, powerful men who allegedly don't exist.
Here's a list with Mr. Golden, Lady Gaga, James Bond. Seems to be just kind of like a bunch of what Americans would recognize as different names. Again, I'm just trying to go through this and get what I get out of it, but it just seems to me like they're mocking any names that they could put up there that Americans or English speakers would recognize as far as that's concerned.
Your president, your hero, your star, allegedly caught on camera from afar.
Allegedly caught on camera from afar. Now, what is that referencing? Right? Is there some sort of video out there with Donald Trump engaged in acts that's kind of from afar, but still got him on video? Again, this is what people are speculating in these little tidbits, these little Easter eggs, appropriate for today, that the Iranians have been leaving in these little Lego videos. You can see here Donald Trump's claim that he's never been there.
40 times, coffee boy, sure.
What's the coffee boy reference? Why am I missing? What's the coffee boy? Let me know in the chat. What's the coffee reference? I feel like I'm missing something on that one, and I should know it, but I don't. Because that's the second or third time they've referenced him as like a coffee boy, unless they're just trying to reference him as Epstein's coffee boy. Let me know in the chat what you guys think.
The island allegedly loved him. That much is pure. Epstein's dead. Secrets in the ground. But the photos Donald allegedly still go around.
But the photos of Donald allegedly still go around.
Allegedly.
So again, whether or not they're referencing something that they have in their possession and they're just kind of holding it for a rainy day until they see fit, I don't know. But again, a lot of these little Easter eggs, a lot of these little tidbits they're putting in these videos come from truth. Again, obviously, some of them are exaggerated, some of them made up totally. But again, they do try to at least use some fact that people recognize and can say, okay, yep, we know that about them. And they're really kind of, speaking to truth and trying to make it seem like that. But the Iranians, again, continuing to step up their propaganda and hammering away at our administration, at least as far as that's concerned. Kind of going down the list, I'm almost ready for the Marco Rubio Lego drop to be next as far as that's concerned. Not sure, but in the propaganda war between the White House and the Iranians, I know that the Iranians are up and up big, at least in that game. All right, let's dive on to this last clip, and I'll get you out of here after this, guys. I appreciate you. Sorry about the short show today, but it is in fact Easter, so we all got places to be, people to see, family to kind of engage with. So thank you guys for understanding that today. But let me throw this on the screen. And this is Sneeko. I don't know if anybody is familiar with Sneeko. He is one of those, self-proclaimed loving, Nazi-loving, Nick Fuentes type of creatures that survive out there on these kind of, obscure places on the internet. This, I'm sure he's big on Kick. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kick, but a lot of these idiots. Who's the other one there? I can never think of his name. There's one that's very prominent on Kick, makes a fortune, but he's part of this crew as well. But he's actually turning the tables. He's actually doing such a 180 as far as what Donald Trump stands for, as far as his support for Donald Trump and the Republicans, that he's in fact, and again, somewhat jokingly, and he does somewhat kind of, engage in the bullshit propaganda stuff that the Republicans love while trying to kind of stay on the same line. Like he tries to tiptoe this while being kind of outlandish, while also kind of, serving himself up to the beliefs of the Republican Party and what they thought about Biden at the same time. So if we could fight through the bullshit that you'll inevitably hear in this, his statement and the kind of the point that he's making is that Donald Trump is gone, similar to the way that we heard Alex Jones telling Republicans that it's time to cut Donald Trump loose, like he was a fucking dead, rotten fish on your lure that you just kind of foul hooked. You know what I mean? Or again, like we say that the dog that nobody in your family cared for that was tied up to the shed down south for fucking 10 years. Like that's what he sounds like when he's talking about cutting Trump loose. Like he's gone, he's lost it, his cankles, his mind, his everything is gone. That was Alex Jones. But here's Sneeko going as far as to even say he wants Joe Biden back. He misses Joe Biden. And of course, like I said, got to take this with a grain of salt because he also tries to feed into the chat that he knows isn't going to like the overall point that he's making, the overall statement that he's making, that Donald Trump is just, a lost cause as far as this is concerned. But again, check this out. He's on Kick here with his audience talking about missing Joe Biden because of the position right now that Donald Trump has not only this country in, but the world in, and also the state of the economy, and I'm sure multiple other things that he's talking about. But again, this is chalk this up to, no credit, no respect, no empathy, no sympathy. Right, same way we use Marjorie Taylor Greene, and anytime Benny Johnson has some mealy mouth pushback, or anytime Pierce Morgan has some grabs whatever nuts he has between his legs and actually kind of says something against Donald Trump, like we use those. We don't give them any credit or any respect for doing so because they are directly responsible for getting us in this position. But it's also beneficial for us to use that. It's politically expedient, politically beneficial for us to use these people, considering they're from that side. Right. And the other people on the other side are more apt to listen to these assholes, to these people in the rhetoric that they espouse than they would ever be to, a progressive, a lefty, liberal, whatever you want to call, right? Anybody on the Democratic side of things. So that's why it's kind of politically beneficial for us to use these clips of the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, et cetera, going against Donald Trump. And we don't use it to, to lift them up. We don't do it to whitewash their past of what they're voted for, of what they're espoused or anything like that. We make it very clear that they're assholes, self-proclaimed Nazis, bigots, hateful people, all over, all across the board. But it is the same people, it is the same fucking side going after the same side. So again, just a minute of this and then I got to get you guys out of here. I appreciate you.
3 hours ago I tweeted I miss Joe Biden. I miss Joe. I miss sleepy Joe Biden. This is terrible. Trump is comparing himself to Jesus. He's using antichrist rhetoric. I miss Joe Biden. Stumbling around. This was what we had to deal with. We didn't even know how good we had it. Joe Biden would be like,
and again, this is the half pandering to the audience. He doesn't want to fully alienate himself. He doesn't want to fully lose the people, the MAGA audience that he knows he collects from, that he makes all the money from. So at the same time, he's trying to, stir up the shit. He's trying to kind of poke fun at Donald Trump in this regard. He also has to kind of, like I said, pander to the right-wing beliefs and the right-wing sentiment as it pertains to, Biden's presidency. And that is the way that goes.
Sniffing a kid. We did not know how good we had it. Biden it was just simple. The worst thing about Joe was that he forgot where he was. The worst thing about Trump is antichrist rhetoric and war that nobody wants, and a draft and maybe the end of American empire. I don't know. Oil prices up, U.S. economy tanking, $39 trillion. Joe Biden was, you ain't black if you don't like me. It was great. We did not know how good we had it with Joe Biden. I almost forgot that he was president.
Well, again, that is the MAGA, the Republican, the Nazi, kind of the pro-bigoted way to come out against Donald Trump, right? You still have to pander to the crowd a little bit. You have to make it as kind of soft, hit it as soft as possible. You don't want to hit it too hard. But again, just going out there and saying that he misses Joe Biden, he knew it was going to get a reaction. He knew it was going to get and stir up some fucking people as far as that's concerned. So he had to kind of walk it back as far as like, oh, I'm still on your side. Don't worry. I still think this about the man. I still believe all of this. But at the same time, all of that considered, it's still miles better than Donald Trump is right now for not only our country, the economy, but also the fucking planet, right? So again, even these demented fools, even these sick, psychopathic fucking people are out there recognizing the detriment that Donald Trump has had to society in this what, a little over a year of his second term. It's remarkable. Again, the people that are able to speak up, considering what they've been responsible for fucking in the past and how they're directly responsible for the position that we're in right now. It's wild. It really is wild. So, all right. Unfortunately, we're out of time today. We're going to go eat some Easter dinner. Why don't I get into thanking anybody that was kind enough to send over a Venmo? And then we'll get into the YouTube side. Holy crap, we might have to fly through the YouTube. You guys have been amazing today. You guys have been amazing. All right. Roger, thank you so much over on Venmo for your kind contributions from you and Karen. Very much appreciate you. Thank you so much. And then for the last couple days, thank you, CYR. Thank you so much, Cindy. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Roxanne. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Thomas and Victoria. And thank you, Peter. Very much appreciate you guys from the last few days. Let me see here on YouTube. My apologies if we have to fly through this, but my brother's going to be outside any minute now. So thank you so much to JQ for signing up as a new member. Thank you so much to Steve for the $10 contribution. Much appreciated, Steve. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you so much to B-Man. Let's go, Berkeley. How are you? Good to see you, brother. Doing an amazing job. Build up this community and keep us informed with unfiltered reporting. Better and better guest. Way to go, B. Thank you so much. Really, really do appreciate you, dude. Thank you for being here as long as you have, for your support, for as long as you've been supporting. Thank you so much to Bobby Slacks for the 10. Heroyam Slava, right back to you. Thank you so much to Yvonne for the 20 gifted memberships. Very much appreciate that, Yvonne. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Always a pleasure to have you here in the chat. Thank you so much to Jen for everything that you do. Millions of protesting against U.S. and Israel charging tolls in the strait. Diesel, $8 a gallon. God damn, man. Wouldn't want to be a truck driver or a fisherman or anything like that, relying on diesel right now. But thank you so much, Jen, for everything that you do. Thank you so much to Corey. Hope this helps during difficult times we're dealing with. Unfortunately, it makes it easier to get your message out. We all need right now. Slava Ukraine. Heroyam Slava. Right to you, Corey. Thank you so much for this unbelievable, consistent pattern that you've been on here of contributing to the show. It is recognized. It is appreciated. Thank you so much to Yvonne as well. I've just finished sowing 70-plus ganja seeds, a big yield for me for this winter. That's me sorted. Happy Easter. Let's go. Grow it, rip it and grow it here. Hopefully you're seeing some tails any days. Hopefully you're seeing some tails in them. But thank you so much, Yvonne, for the 10. I appreciate you. Way to go. Let me know what you name the strain. Thank you, Yvonne. Appreciate you. Thank you, Ricky, as well, for the 10 gifted memberships. You guys are fantastic. And like I said, my apologies for kind of having to fly through these today. Typically, I do give it the time that they deserve. So thank you so much, Yvonne. Thank you, Ricky. 10 fabulous people in the chat now getting memberships because of the kindness of Ricky. So thank you so much, Ricky. Thank you so much, Moms, for the $5. Thank you so much, Crimson, for everything. Happy Easter, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Much love to you all. Thank you so much, and happy Easter to you, Crimson. And thank you so much again, Moms, for the weekly tithing. Happy Easter to you as well. Thank you to Wes. May Easter blessings rest upon and be with us all. The Lord is risen indeed. Right back at you, Wes. Thank you so much for the Ray Bork. Thank you so much, B-Man. I thought the orangutan and thief didn't like those who got shot down. Good call. Good call. Good call, Bry. Should have brought that up myself. Didn't think of that. Didn't think of that angle. Good call. John McCain. Happy Sunday, everyone. Pecos Brian, and he did say that, and I might have to bring that up. So forgive me if you see a TikTok video or a short YouTube short with me referencing that exact thing. So, Bry, thank you so much for that. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Happy Easter if you celebrate, my dude. Thank you to Just Saying for the 5 gifted. Such an amazing chat that we have here. Thank you, Colleen, to the Boston Bryant community and family. The comfort, familiarity, and information is important to my sanity. Love to all. That's amazing. I can't thank you enough for the kind words. And I just, for that to be true for even one person means we're kind of doing a good job here. So thank you so much, Colleen. Thank you, Be Pragmatic, for becoming a new YouTube member. Thank you so much to Midas Pilot as well. WSO rescued help by SBU. Apparently, whoa, Wouldn't that be a story? Wouldn't that be a story? I didn't see that being reported before I got on, but I'll see if I can check that out. Midas Pilot, I appreciate you for bringing that to my attention. Thank you so much to Yvonne. Again, did you know the word Trump means fart in the UK? So you should refer to Donald Trump as President Fart. I got worse words from Yvonne. I got worse words, and I got a couple guideline violations to prove it. So thank you so much, Yvonne. Thank you, Ricky, again. I love the Iranian Trump trolling, especially the Legos. Happy Easter. I know, and I feel so guilty for liking it. I really do. It puts me in such an awkward position, as that's kind of like what everybody's been saying. It's like, I don't want to like it. I don't fucking want to, but you got to recognize game, recognize game, right? But thank you, Wayno, for 20 months here. No Kings, no war, no Trump. I second that, my friend, and thank you for the contributions. Thank you so much, JD, as well, for the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate you, brother. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And then thank you so much, Marsha, rounding it out today with the $2 super sticker. I appreciate you, Marsha. I still have to reach out and get you the email that you've been looking for. So I'll be sure to do that maybe tonight when I get back from the old festivities. All right. So thank you. Happy Easter to everybody that celebrates once again. I appreciate you guys for spending a little bit of time here with me. My apologies for doing the half show today, but I'm sure that you guys can understand. We don't typically take any time off of, the show. So we'll see if we can either make it up with an extra hour during the week, or maybe we'll pop on tonight at some point, see if you can get your notifications on just in case that happens. But if not, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 20K by the time that we smoke the GOP in midterm elections. We want to make sure that we get in the ring with the biggest fight. We want the most bang for our buck. We want the biggest opponents and the most reach that we could possibly get out there at that moment. So with your help, we'll get to 20K by that time. And I can't thank you enough. Thank you to the mods. Happy Easter to all the mods that celebrate. Happy Easter to everybody in the chat that celebrates. And if you don't celebrate, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you so much for being here with me. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics, and I will see you guys Tuesday. If I don't see you before then, like I said, every now and again, you never know with the breaking news, I might pop on and see if we can chat about some things. And also, check out all of the YouTube shorts. Check out my Instagram, all of the Instagram videos. Go to my Substack. Check me out on Threads. Check me out on Blue Sky. Check me out everywhere. Hit to the Patreon. Head to the merch shop. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys have been doing in supporting the show, getting all the merch. Make sure you guys hit me up with some pictures if you get them. Make sure you guys, rep the shirts, rep the gear out there. All right, I'm out of here. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Appreciate you, Marsha.
God bless the United States.
For miners, do we love miners? I love miners.
We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come Out to officially name the undisputed. When did this come out? The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. Never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting. Never fight uphill, me boys. But it was too late. They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated. Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable, I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a big portion of the success of this country. Gettysburg, wow. I go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania to look and to watch.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
The big, fat, sloppy